Hello, my name is Duncan Mackay. I'm from Scotland. This is our home. Please come in. This is my wife Indah.
Hi, welcome to our home. My name is Indah. I'm from Indonesia.
Yeah, hi, welcome to meet you. My name is Duncan Mackay. I'm from Scotland and I am consultant in the oil and gas business. So the reason that I came to Indonesia the first time was that the company I was working for got sold, and I had the option of staying with the parent company or going with the sold company, but both of them were transferring me to Indonesia. So that's the story. I get transferred with a company to come and work in Jakarta. Well, when I arrived, I kind of knew what to expect because I'd been to Indonesia once before in the late 90s. But every time you travel to the tropics, the heat, the sunlight, the amount of people, the noise, the smells, it's all kind of old but new. Yeah, so I've lived in 4 or 5 different countries, traveled to several others. But what I like about Indonesia is, of course, I like the people. I like the scenery. My background is in geology. So of course I love volcanoes, I love hills, I love streams, rivers. Just the overall, everything overall adding up together. For me, it's a very pleasant place for me to live.
We met first time because actually the first time we like sports. So at that time we are doing the competition, full competition, tournament for Jakarta Expat League. And then, yeah, then we met by the same interest on sports. So that's the first time. We know each other through our best friend. So yeah, we talk, and then I thought like this guy is so interesting, But he was so behaved, calm, and cool, So it's like, okay, it's a challenge. Then we built up from there.
Yeah, I mean, that's a hard thing to put your finger on, because it's a number of different things, I guess, yeah, I like her. She's got quite a strong personality, but quietly confident. And, obviously, she comes from a traditional family, so, very polite. And her father was in the army, so my father was also in the army and the police, so we have a kind of similar upbringing. There was some commonality there. That's always a good question. It wasn't a spur of the moment thing, but it was inevitable that we were going to get married. So it seemed better for everybody, better for her family, better for us. If we got married a little bit, maybe quicker than people thought. But for us, it was the correct pace, I think. And everybody was happy, of course, when we broke the news to her family.
At that moment, the point was like he's really into family. I just met him for like probably 2 or 3 times, and then he wants to meet my family. He introduced himself to my family. So it's like very rare for actually foreigners to do that like after 2 or 3 times. And I think, okay, he's really responsible, he's really
serious.
Serious, yeah, for sure, serious. So then he introduced himself to my family. Yeah, my family, my parents, they're like very open-minded, and they never push me to marry to Indonesian. But yeah, the first thing they will see is the character, and then how is the person, And then by the time he introduced himself to my family, he's very polite and very gentleman. So my parents thought like, okay, I think he's okay. He's like a family-oriented man by picture, And then move from there. He's really caring, and I feel like I'm like a number 1 in his life, So isn't that right?
Yeah. That is very correct.
So
yes.
everything is, I feel like it's all about me. So I'm really grateful for that.
Okay, my favorite thing about Indah, she helps me to control my impatience. She's a very calming influence. She helps me understand why perhaps things aren't what I expected when I'm living here, and gives me some information, allows me to think a little bit deeper and to become maybe a little bit better. Yeah, I do appreciate that.
Yeah, well, thank you for complete my life. I'm really grateful, even if it's always up and down. But I think that's normal in marriage life. But we're like complete each other. We're like learning from each other's habit, and yeah, I think that's the most
important thing.
Yeah, the most important thing.
Yeah, and for me, yeah, you know, married life isn't always easy. There's challenges, but we've both, I think, improved our communication over the last 15 years. There are still times when we have to focus on that, focus on understanding between culture and between the use of the language. And, you know, sometimes that's a bit of a problem with understanding English and understanding Indonesian or being able to speak either language. But I think that, you know, my wish for the next 15 years would be that we can continue to communicate, because I think that's the most important thing. But we can also continue to have fun. And, you know, we do like to travel and experience different cultures, and we hope that we can learn not just from Nusantara, but also from countries in Asia and from around the world to make our relationship even better than it is. So this is a shirt that I bought at a charity golf auction. It was run by, I think, a bar that no longer exists, but all the money, of course, went to an Indonesian charity. It's a shirt by Shea Given. At the time, we played for Aston Villa. I'm not particularly a fan of Aston Villa. My team is Tottenham Hotspur, but I am a fan of giving to charity, and it was for a great cause, so I was happy to purchase it at the time. Yeah, Indonesia is a country that's crazy with football. Yes, I have seen some Indonesian games. I've watched Bali play, I've watched Adama play. Of course, I've watched a couple of teams from here play. I've actually been to the stadium to watch the international team play. If I could say, the quality probably quite isn't as high as the EPL, but the fans are very passionate, perhaps sometimes a little bit too passionate. Yeah. Well, that's something I'm learning about all the time, you know. When I first got here, I was very lucky to have know somebody who was working in the same company as me, and he became my mentor, explained a lot of things about Indonesian culture. But every time you go to a different part of Indonesia, the culture is a little bit or a lot different. But I've been lucky that when I've gone to these places, I've been working with Indonesians who've explained to me exactly either what I'm doing wrong or what I'm doing right, or what I should be aware of when I go there, so that I don't offend anybody with either hand action or by the way I talk. So I've been very grateful for their help. Yeah, so these are some nice I bought. I think they're just decorational, but the Chris is obviously a very important, not just weapon, but cultural symbol in Indonesia. I actually have a friend who stays in Pangandaran. He's an Australian guy. He's a collector of Chris daggers, and he educated me a little bit about the type of dagger, because I think they change shape and decoration style depending on which part of Indonesia you're in. Of course, I'm quite interested in Indonesian history, although it's very hard to find an English book that's written specifically for foreigners about Indonesian history. But if there is one, I'd love to have a recommendation. Okay, so one of the things that we try to do in our company is when we go to a foreign country, we like to take our batik shirt. We can wear it one day either in the client's office or when we're actually holding an event. And it's always a good topic of conversation, because no matter where you go in the world, everybody has their own national dress. In Scotland, it's kilts. In other countries, it's like fancy coloured robes, you know, whatever. So it's really nice to wear a batik shirt. And the problem is, when I go somewhere, you know, which batik shirt do you bring? There's so many different designs, there's so many different meanings, so many different colours. But that's part of the attraction, you know, part of the conversation. And I can guarantee you, wherever I take batik, everybody has always asked me about the shirt. And there's a little bit of cabai rawit in there. I do like to add some Indonesian ingredients. just to spice things up. These guys over here, there's a recipe. What do I like about Indonesia the most? That's a very good question. I do like the weather because I used to play a lot of sports when I was younger, and when I live in a colder climate, I tend to find I have a lot of pain in the winter. So living in Indonesia with the heat is fantastic, but also the different things that you can see in the country. Not just the geography, the hills, the valleys, the beaches, the waterfalls, but also the different kinds of people you can meet. It doesn't matter where you go, somewhere in a big city or in a small village, everybody is always interested in you, always wants to help you if you ask a question. And I think, it's a very welcoming country. So what I'd like to do, I'm feeling a bit hungry, so why don't we go to the kitchen? I'm going to prepare some food. What we're going to do is we're going to let this come back up to the boil a little bit, get all the flavors going, the flavors of the meat that was cooking in there, the onions, the tomato has got some paprika, and there's a little bit of cabai rawit in there. I do like to add some Indonesian ingredients just to spice things up. These guys over here, it's a recipe I found on the web. Basically they're meatballs. One is a little bit smashed, but I am not a professional chef. It's a kind of Mexican style recipe, but I always find that my wife does like to try new things. So hopefully this one will meet with her approval. Otherwise I will eat it all myself and get very, very fat. I have to go to the gym a little bit more. Just pop the last one in there. Nice juice from the meat into the pan. One thing I like cooking about in the house is we have a maid, and she is a superb cook, and she's always helping me to understand a little bit more about Indonesian ingredient and how much to add and what not to add. So it's nice to have a teacher right next door, as it were. So what we're going to do, we'll just pop the lid on here. We'll leave them for a few minutes, and we'll come back in, we'll pop some sauce on top, and just make sure that they're cooking nicely. Should be done very soon. So now I'll just add some cheese to top. Just give it that little added touch. It should melt and look like the recipe from the web. If not, it's all going to taste the same anyway, so no problem. Just pop the lid on again. Oh, there's a little bit left, let's not waste. And there we go. Let's check and see if it's ready. That looks quite good. Let's turn it off then, the gas. I always forget to do that. Pop this over here, put the lid down. Just try and be as careful as I can. I'll try and plate it and keep it looking nice and beautiful. Look at that. Smells lovely, a little bit smoky. And I know it's going to be spicy with my cabai rawit in there. So, perhaps not professional quality, but nevertheless, I'm sure the taste is going to be quite good. I personally am going to have mine on some French bread, but I'm sure my wife will have it with rice. So there we go. Some Mexican style meatballs, not Mexican meatballs, but Mexican style. Ooh, be careful, it's a little bit warm in the bottom.
Yummy.
I do hope you enjoy it.
Will, I'm sure. Thank you for cooking.
No problem. Do you want to serve or should I? Maybe I'll pour the wine. That's my forte. Cheers to us.
Cheers.
Love you.
Love you. He loves cooking and I cannot cook. So normally he will cook for me or family when my family come over. And then the one that's incredible about him cooking is even if he never know the food, and then I said like, okay, why don't you try this? And then he will cook it, Google it, the ingredient and everything, and then it come up perfect. You know, it's like, wow, that's amazing. He got like a sense of for like all the ingredient when the ingredient combine, and he can, you know, he can sense it, which is like, that's amazing.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it.
This food is perfect. It's a little bit spicy, and you can also taste the cheese, the meat, the tomato sauce. Perfect. One thing that amazed me too, because before I don't like spicy food at all. Like I only eat spicy food for bakso, but that's like very tiny. And then I met him, and then I surprised that he can eat like spicy food, like especially like sambal, a lot. Like, wow, you can deal with that, you know. And then he loves spicy, so then I try a little bit, and now I can eat spicy because of him, not opposite.
Well, it's a really good benefit for me because I do like to try maybe not a lot of new things, but things that I'm used to: chicken, beef, fish, and there's so many different ways of cooking these meats around the whole of Indonesia. So if you go to Duri in Sumatra, or you go to Cirebon, or you go to Bali, the same thing can taste quite different. Yeah, so I do love the variety of food in Indonesia, and especially the spices and sambals that are available here. Yeah, so I do have a lot of favorite foods in Indonesia, but when I've been away traveling, working, and then I come home, I always have soto Betawi prepared for me with perkedel, possible with nasi uduk, and of course with sambal tomat, yeah, the red one. If it's a little bit orange, that's okay, because only a little bit hotter for 5 extra minutes. But the one thing I do like about, we were talking about the spice, yeah, the spiciness of food. In Indonesia, it's very spicy, but within 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 minutes, spice is gone, yeah. It's not like lingering, it's not painful. It's just part of the cuisine of Nusantara. Yeah, I love it. Yeah. So yeah, I mean the other foods that I like, I think every foreigner that comes here loves rendang. Yeah. I do like ayam betutu. If we go to Lombok or Bali, if you go to anywhere on the coast, you can get a freshly caught and prepared fish. It's just so sagaria, so fresh, so beautiful, so tasty. The things that I don't like are Indah loves paru, the lung, and that's not for me. Chicken heart, not for me. But I like to try different things, but there's some things that for me is not for me.
He got experience once though.
Oh, with the chicken heart, yeah. So Indah's nephew had his circumcision ceremony, and the food was prepared. Everybody was there. It was a very important time for the family, you know. And I was a little bit hungry, so I wanted to eat some satay. I asked Indah, "What's the satay?" She's like, "It's chicken, yeah. I think chicken or beef." Okay, no problem. I eat it. It tastes very good, very, very good. But become lembut. It can become very soft after I'm eating it, and the texture is very, very different, yeah. So I ask again, "What kind of satay is this?" "Ma, what kind of satay is this?" "Chicken heart." "Would you like to finish the rest?" It's not, yeah, not for me. But I mean, up until the texture changed, it was very flavorful, very nice, yeah.
So the good part is the opportunity to traveling abroad and then see the partner culture. But then besides that, we also experience the the down part is the culture shock, maybe. Like foreigners normally have a different habit with the Indonesian, right? So that's the one that we work on at the beginning of our marriage. But through the communication and understanding each other, then I think we can through that. So the good part is the opportunity to traveling abroad and then see the partner culture. But then besides that, we also experience the bad part, like need a visa to go abroad, and then sometimes it's not easy to get visa for UK. But we're still learning, we still try to work on it, you know, like
You know, for me, you know, if you say, you know, what do you like about mixed marriage? I mean, it doesn't make any sense to me because it's a marriage, right? It doesn't matter whether it's mixed or whether you're with somebody who's from your own culture. It's still mixed, yeah, because it's still husband and wife. You've grown up in different areas, you've had different experiences. So in terms of that, I don't consider it to be a mixed marriage. Are there things that we have to discuss? Are there things that we have to understand about each other's culture? Yes. Are there different rules in different countries and we have to understand that? Yes. But for me, it's simple as being of different nationalities. Yeah. It's more simple than that, right? For me, it's just it's marriage, right? Yeah, I mean, if people from my country want to get involved in mixed marriage, I would encourage them to learn a little bit about the culture, learn a little bit about the language, do some traveling here. Maybe even get involved in some Indonesian society back in their own country, just to learn a little bit more, to be more prepared, perhaps, than I was when I arrived here. And yeah, you know, just like everything, you've got to be respectful when you go somewhere. You've got to treat people the way you want to be treated. And you know, I hope that when people from my country come here, they can act responsibly in Indonesia and respect the citizen and the culture.
For sure, if you want to marry like foreigners, you have to know the culture. That's probably will give you a better relationship, you know, because like sometimes the culture is totally different with Indonesian. And yeah, communication is also important on the relationship. And yeah, I think that's Mixed marriage can be challenging.
But fun.
Go for
Go for it.
Bye.
See you.